Okay, for this next example, we're going to simulate the game of war, which most of you know is a card game where two people turn over a card and whichever one is bigger is the winner. Sounds pretty simple, but it's actually fairly complex to model in Excel. So I'm going to go over to the we have so many worksheets here that I actually have to scroll using these arrows, and I'm going to go to the Game of War worksheet, which is currently blank. And the first thing I want to teach you is how to do a little bit of copying and pasting and edit replace. Um, so I'm going to type some headings here: random number, the name of the card, and the value of the card. Okay, so the name of the card, as you know, cards in a traditional set of 52 range from 2 up through ace, and there's 4 suits: hearts, diamonds, clubs, and spades. And in the Game of War, obviously different games treat the cards differently, but the Game of War is kind of traditional. The 2 is the lowest value, so I'm going to assign the 2 as the lowest value, starting with the value of 1. And then 2 through 10, we'll take on the values 1 to 9. And then when we get to Jack, Jack is greater than 10, Queen is greater than Jack, King is greater than Queen. And then there are 13 cards in a suit, so our highest value is 13, so the ace. And in the Game of War, all the different suits have the same value. So ace, I'm sorry, if you get a 2 of spades, that's equal to a 2 of hearts. So we'll put the same value on those. So to get started, I'm going to type my 52 numbers. We're creating a little table here. Whoops. So I'm going to start by typing 1, 2, and 3. And then I'm going to use my autofill and drag down to auto-complete the range. Notice that there's a little number as you're dragging down. So the number 12 is currently my counter. And I want to continue on until I get down to 52. So down to row 53, which has a value of 52. And I will center it. So we have random numbers 1 to 52. Now I want to create the name of the card. So I'm going to type 2 of, and I'll just start with spades as my first suit. 2 of spades, 3 of spades, 4 of spades. And rather than typing all of them, I'm going to do an autofill all the way down to 10. And once I get to 11, 12, and 13, those actually don't make sense because we don't think of cards as being that. So I'm going to replace 11 with Jack, 12 with Queen, 13 with King, and 14 with Ace. And I'm going to assign sequential values to those. So 1, 2, 3, and I can autofill all the way down to 13. Center these. And now I'm going to copy and paste these ranges to make it as fast as possible. So I'm going to select the 2 of spades all the way down to 13. And I'm going to right click and copy. And then I'm going to move my mouse down to cell B15 and hit enter to paste it. Now within this range, I want to replace the suit. So I still want 2 through ace, but I want to change spades to another suit. So I'm going to go up to the Find and Select button on the home menu and select the option for replace. And you can see I already practiced this, so I'm going to replace the word spades with the word clubs. Yours would have been blank initially. And I'm going to select replace all. And it's only going to do the replacement within the, sorry for the beep, I have an incoming email, but within this range here, it's only, since I have that selected, it's only going to replace these cells, not in the entire spreadsheet. So I'm going to click replace all, but it only pertains to the range that I have selected. So it's going to say all done. We made 13 replacements, and now we have clubs instead of spades in rows 15 through 27. So I'm going to replicate that. I'm going to right click and select copy. If I'm going too fast for you, you can always pause. But I'm going to right click and copy and go down to cell B28 and hit enter. And I'm going to go back to my window for edit replace. In this case, I'm going to replace clubs with hearts. Replace all. Made 13 replacements. I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to right click and copy. Go down to the next empty row in column B and hit enter. And then I'm going to replace hearts with diamonds. Replace all. So now I've got my table. Cards 1 through 52. I got the names of the cards and I got their values set up. So the next thing I'm going to do, we're going to be doing some VLOOKUPs with some random numbers, but I'm going to go ahead and do a named range for this. So I'm going to select cell A1 through C53, and then I'm going to go into my formulas tab, and I'm going to select define name, and I already have the range selected, the Game of War worksheet, cell A1 to C53, and I'm going to call it deck of cards. Okay, so now I'm ready to set up my game. I'm going to do just a little bit of simple interface design here. I'm going to go back to the home menu, and I'm actually going to merge and center. I want to combine cells E1 and F1. So I'm going to click merge and center, and I'm just going to give it a heading, Game of War. And then I'm going to have a column for player 1 and a column for player 2. I'll center those columns, and then I'll have a heading on the left for random number, card drawn, value of card, and winner. Double click to resize. Let's do some bolding. Okay, so this time, rather than put the random number inside of the VLOOKUP, let's just do a RANDBETWEEN here, just to be totally transparent about everything that's involved in the game. So let's enter a RANDBETWEEN function from 1 to 52. And we'll replicate it over for player 2. So every time I enter a new function or formula, it's going to replace it, but until then I can hit F9, and I can see that it's kind of randomly picking a number from 1 to 52 from both players. Okay, so now I'm going to enter my VLOOKUP again. So I'm going to type equals VLOOKUP, or I'll go to my function window and select VLOOKUP. So my lookup value is going to be the random number that we just chose. We have to do them individually. So E3 is going to be my lookup value. And now my table array, normally you would go out and select the range. But this, since I use the name define name function, I'm just going to go ahead and type deck of cards. And I see my preview there to the right where it gives me my headings. So I'm confident that I gave it the correct name. My column index for this particular cell, I want to show the name of the card. So I'm going to choose the second column in the list. And we'll do, doesn't really matter which type, true or false. But we'll do an exact lookup here for false. So I'm going to click OK and just confirm the random number was 44, which is the 6 of diamonds. And if I hit F9, I can see other examples. So I'm going to copy this formula to the right. And actually all of the parameters happen to transfer as we want it. So if I look at this VLOOKUP formula, the lookup value is F3, which is what we want. That's the random number for player 2. The table range is still deck of cards. We still want column 2, which is the name of the card, and an exact match. So let's copy this down for the value of the card, but I actually will have to change something for this. So now instead of looking up the value in E4, we still want it to be E2. And if we were doing a lot of copying here, we might want to do some absolute referencing. But I'm just changing the lookup value. I'm sorry, it should be E3, which is the random number. So we have 2 rows of headings. Still deck of cards and column 2. But now for the, we don't want the name of the card. We want the value of the card, which is over in column 3. So I'm going to change this 2 to a 3. And I'll paste this over to the right. And again, we can see that the random number 9 is a 10 of spades, which has a value of 9. And the random number 50 is the queen of diamonds, which has a value of 11. So I'm confident that mine is working right. You have a different computer, so you're picking different random numbers. Obviously, yours are not going to match mine, but obviously you could scroll down and look up your numbers as well. So now we just want a little statement that evaluates the winner. So I'm going to merge and center cells E5 and F5 again. And now I'm going to do an if statement. And I'm just going to look at these 2 values. And let's assume that player 1 wins the ties. So I'm going to type equals if E5 is greater than or equal to F5. So I'm looking at the 2 values. And again, I can see my preview. In an if statement, you have the logical test, the equation, and then what you want to input if it's true and what you want to input if it's false. If you want, we could see this in a function window. So if E5 is greater than or equal to F5, and the value, if it's true, I want to put a text value in, so I have to put quotation marks. I'm going to type player 1 wins. And if it's false, I want to put player 2 wins. And I hit enter, and I'm testing it. 4 is not greater than 13, so player 2 wins. I'll hit F9. 12 is greater than 5. See if I get a tie here at some point. Running it a lot of times without getting a tie. So here we go. They're both the same. So player 1 wins the ties because I have my formula set up for greater than or equal to, giving player 1. If you wanted to have a third option for tie, draw again, then you would have to have what we call a nested if. That's going to be in the next set of videos, but for now we're just going to simplify it. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and save my workbook, and I'll see you in the next video.